Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the instant reaction. 1 Arsenal 1. Well, what I will say, George, is the instant reactions for the last couple of weeks have been sort of fairly standard instant reactions, just how good we are. At least we have something to talk about. That's what I will say. A turgid afternoon at Stamford Bridge. A bit of a tough watch. Thank you all for joining us live. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff to the Cannon podcast. We'll start with headlines. And I will go with well done, Chelsea. I think we will talk a lot about our issues and our performance this afternoon. I don't think any of them are chronic, and I think they're just a shame, a lot of them. But I have to say, I think Chelsea were really good for large portions of that match. Physically, they had a game plan which I hated, but they sort of carried it out. And I think they deserve some credit for their performance. Reece James was absolutely fantastic all afternoon. I thought Sanchez actually had a decent afternoon. So yeah, we're going to spend the rest of this talking about how probably we're frustrated with ourselves, but credits to Chelsea. George was with me. Give me a headline, please.
Referees. referees. Anthony Bloody Taylor. Okay. There's a lot of context that needs to be said, and I'm glad that you praised Chelsea because Chelsea were good in moments, but I do want to highlight the game plan because we're going to talk about it. I just don't respect it whatsoever about what happened, and there was a lot of things that I want to criticize our response to after the equalizer, because I felt as though that you can get this where maybe you're not at the races away at a top 6 match, where I think in the first half, I felt that Chelsea had a game plan. It was working. I don't respect it, but it's on you to change that, right? As title challengers, that's on you to respond to it. And I just want to say what I feel. I hate this fake hard man thing in which they were purposefully doing fouls and then rolling on the floor and Anthony Taylor buying it for a large portion of the match. But then we played into that a bit too much and we were naive, and it became a very emotional game, one in which it suited Chelsea. We played too much in the air, and the pass down the channels, which is something that I wanted to see, and where the space was, and when we did it, was brilliant. But we played far too much in their hands by going long in the air, didn't play through them. That was the issue. But I have a problem when the game kind of loses itself a little bit emotionally there. I mean, for God's sakes, even on the red card, Caicedo's acting as if he was fouled. The play acting is just something I do not respect. I call it bitch made. Fair play, you want to do it. It's a tactic to do. I don't respect it. And then it's on us, though. And that's where I want to focus the frustration I've got, because after the equalizer, the urgency to which we played wasn't good enough. Maybe we had 2 chances to get a win. When we played football, we played on the floor. It was there. And that's where I'm most frustrated with, because I'm like, I don't think my team did enough. I don't respect the opponent for what they did. And I'm left frustrated on a 1-1 where ultimately the context is with 10 men and you're a title challenger, you need the win. You need the win.
Yeah, I similarly feel we didn't deal with them well enough. And as I said, yeah, they came, certainly in the first half, they came with a game plan to disrupt, to frustrate, to foul, to pretend that they're fouled, to get the crowd on side.
They did.
To do all that stuff. And they did it. And look, realistically, if they came to our ground and we did that and we won the game, and they didn't win the game, but if we got a result in a context like this where I'm chasing the title, the title, I was going to say title winners, hopeful title winners. I would understand it and I wouldn't be complaining about it. But I think you're right to highlight our response. I just felt we were a little bit naive, and I didn't think we took which is not unlike this Arsenal team. And situations like Cucurella gets a yellow card, and I have a sort of a theory about Saka being captain. I wonder if Gabriel was captain on the day, whether we would have sort of chased the referee and put more pressure on the referee and stuff. Saka's lovely, but he's obviously a very nice guy. And I wonder if maybe he hasn't got enough experience as a captain yet to sort of recognise what's going on and to force the team to sort of step on to Anthony Taylor. But there was a moment where Cucurella gets a yellow, and I went, every ball now has to go down that side, and we started playing it down the left hand side, and they flipped to Reece James. There was a moment in the second half where Nketiah, I think he goes up for a header. It's absolutely never a foul, and Chelsea swarm the referee and they get a yellow for Nketiah like 2 minutes into the second half, and it sets a tone. It really does set a tone, and it's a real shame because it was a bitty game. It was a turgid game. It was a game between two sets of players who are, some very, very good footballers on both sides. We didn't see much actual football because so much of it was just on the ground, and everyone was on the ground or in the air, or the ball was out of play, or players were going down. It's horrible. It's the type of football I hate. But as I say, credit Chelsea because they got it going. I think for me, let's sort of come on to the first half, because the second half is where I'm more frustrated. I think there's more technical things that I'm upset that we didn't take advantage of, and some specific players that I want to talk about. First half, I think that was really the story of it, just this turgid play. I was really feeling we were missing Odegaard from the top. I felt as though, especially in the second half, but a little bit in the first half, there was periods of the game where Chelsea were giving us spaces centrally, and we weren't willing to sort of drop off and play those passes. I didn't feel our tempo was quite at it. I felt as though when we were in possession, we didn't show much personality. And the moment Odegaard comes on, you feel that personality from an Arsenal perspective. So talk to me about that first half, because I felt in possession we were just a bit limp. I understand why, because of everything we talked about, but I did just feel a little bit, I don't know, bit vanilla.
I'm really annoyed, bro, because I think I have so many criticisms for Chelsea's approach into what contributed to that game state. And then I look, but it's on you, the title challenger and dominant, to change it, right? Like, it's one thing when you're faced with something like this, I don't respect. I think that there were a lot of acting that was going on. It was taking us off our game. It was very stop-start the match. And then it turned into a long ball game in which we were trying to go over the top. But I don't think Mourinho was secure enough in that first half as far as bringing us into play. So for me, the over-the-top ball wasn't the solution. It was to play through them, despite them shin kicking, and not to get emotional. But we drew into it, and we felt like we were being cheated because the ref was calling a 65-30 or a 70-30 match in terms of their fouls. Then they would give really dirty fouls as well, leave one on us in our heels, and we started to react to that. And I felt it became a match where we just said, okay, we want to punch each other, let's punch each other. And I'm sitting there saying, you are the title leaders. Sit there and just play through them. Let them react and kick out. Don't respond to that. But we did. And I don't think we did a good enough job about putting our foot on the ball, attacking the wings and playing the ball in behind the fullback and the center back channel. That for me was on every single bloody match. And, I was sitting there yelling at my screen, let's play in behind, play in behind. That's the space. They can't deal with it. They can't track the third man runs. And ironically, I think I can talk about it in the second half, where we actually saw those chances come out a little bit more. We just weren't clinical with it, and it didn't happen with enough frequency. But that was the issue that I found in the first half. And from a Chelsea perspective, I mean, I don't know how I can praise somebody for at least meeting you and playing forward, which I will try to give them credit for. But the way they did it, which I know was to be a team that would get in there, have a fake hard man, foul, roll around on the floor, get a call, and do it all over again, because they were really poor in the final third as far as their decision-making. And then we didn't take advantage of it. Our transitions were poor. And it was one of those where I felt like the first half, we just didn't play through the center. We didn't play over the top between the center back and the full back channel. And for as much as I can get pissed off at the stop-start nature of the first half and their game plan, that's on us. And Zubamendi, I would have hoped to put his foot more on the ball to dictate things. And we just didn't do that. So at some point you got to credit, but I feel like we didn't do enough.
I agree. I do think I'd probably give Chelsea more credit, though, because I think, I agree the final third execution was off. Getting to the final third, they did consistently again, and that's in a way I've not seen a team do against us so far this season and for a long time, consistently doing that. Also, credit to them, because I think they spotted, and they did their research. They spotted that Havertz and Gyökeres on the front post, and if neither of them are there, that's where to put the game. And ultimately, we've been the kings of that, spotting weaknesses, and they've done that. So credit to them. I think, because of the nature of the first half, I'm less frustrated there. While I agree in terms of there were certain balls on, I think in terms of the tempo, I was missing Odegaard. My frustration was once Odegaard got on and we were chasing the game a little bit, even with the Marino goal, I was really disappointed in how we approached that second half. Specifically, I don't want to. No, I'm going to say it because he's had a new contract, and I don't think he's been good recently. I think Marzo Esqueda was really poor. I think he had many opportunities to take it, and before people get on at me, I could see Mikel shouting at him. So it's not just my opinion. He was in really key positions to go and drive forward. Declan was giving him the ball. He had the space. Chelsea were dropping back. They had 5-6 on the last line. Liam Delap and then a couple in the middle. There was so much space in the middle to get on it and drive forward. Declan Rice probably as well. Even though they had a brilliant game out of possession, I thought he probably could have driven forward more in possession. It felt as though there was a real lack of bravery in the second half to go and put the game to Chelsea. It felt like we were playing hot potato with the ball. The tempo was a bit better. I think we had a bit more personality and got the ball more to Saka on the right-hand side, as I said, with Odegaard. But second half, I really felt a lack of bravery. The spaces in front of the defensive line were open. Whether you wanted Marino in there, whether you wanted Saka in there, whether you wanted Timber in there, it was the bravery to go and play that pass that I felt was missing, and we just wasted time. And it ended up really the only decisions that I could see being made were by Saka going, right, well, if no one's going to do anything, I'm going to do something. And he kept blazing it over the bar because you have one of those days. So yeah, the second half to me was more frustrating because actually Chelsea got away with less. They had obviously one less player on the pitch. That's where I look at us more and go, not having that.
I just didn't like the urgency after the equalizer. I felt it was very slow paced, and honestly, for me, Declan Rice was our best player on the day over the course of 90 minutes. I thought when he did have the ball, especially in the second half, he was playing forward. It was odd. I didn't think Saka had his best game in his decision making in the final third, which is not something I'll really ever say of Bukayo Saka. But when it counted, he created 2 brilliant moments. So it's kind of like I don't want to go and critique that. I've always felt that when you look at Chelsea, the spaces between the fullback and the center back, and I don't think they defend those areas well enough. And the cutback was on for us, but we almost played into the air and made it a little bit more easier, where it was more of a 50-50 match in that sense. And I just wanted somebody to put their foot on the ball. And I mean, I looked to Zubimendi because he's our tempo in the team. And for whatever reason, I don't think it's fair to blame him, but we didn't get him involved in the game. And for me, he felt more of a passenger, and it became a case of kind of, we were playing pinball. I was just sitting there. I was thinking, we're better than this. We don't have to go over the top of them. And it wasn't successful. Like Marino wasn't doing a good enough job to go over the top of a press and bring others into play. And that, I didn't understand the Eze change either. I'm sure we'll get on to some of that. For me, we weren't doing a good enough job about having some presence. I love the fact that Gyökeres could come on to stretch and ask different questions, but it was the space in behind wide that was going to get us a point for me. Every time we went over the top of that fullback and played it on the ground and through, we were there. And, there was 2 moments. Saka had that one moment on a first time touch, right? That he couldn't play it across. He wasn't able to do it. And then, of course, the cutback from Hincapié, by the way, in which Timber takes it from Gyökeres, that all comes from a ball in behind the fullback and the center back that Hincapié is able to exploit. So when we played on the ground, it was brilliant, but we didn't. And so I was more upset that we took off a player who was so good at the top of the box, and Eze, who I didn't think had his best game on the ball. But to me, the way to win this was through cutbacks. The way to win this was the space out wide and having enough of your players that are able to make the difference at the top of the box. And by removing somebody who I think is so potent there, that's where I was frustrated, and less about, Eze's had a poor game, he's off. I can understand that logic. But I'm sitting there saying, if our best chance is a cutback, especially with an extra man, play with urgency, play it through kind of the fullback and center back channel and force more cutbacks, do the cutback thing, the Atlanta of last year of forcing those cutbacks. I think Chelsea would have been unable to defend that consistently enough, but we didn't. And, we didn't do enough to force that issue. So that's on us. Right. But yeah, I am frustrated because I look at that and I think we could have done more in this match. We could have.
Yeah. Let's so your Discord's just going off in the background, mate. Let's just come to the stats. 0.6 expected goals to 1 for us, 11 shots for them to 8 for us, 4 shots on target each, 6 open play shots each, 37.7% possession to 62.3, although I suspect that would have been a lot closer if Caicedo hadn't been sent off, and probably Chelsea would have dominated. More passes completed, more final third entries from our perspective, 3.3 expected threat created to their 2.1, similar deep touches, double the zone 14 touches, which sorry, not double, almost triple the zone 14 touches. Yes, a shame, a real shame. And I think really what we're all feeling in that sort of running XG, that we didn't make the red card count. You know, a big chance obviously from Mikel Merino. I think probably that Jurriën Timber chance right at the death is that one right at the end there. Yeah, just not enough big chances for all the reasons that we've sort of gone into. The shot map there. A lot of these stuff coming on the right hand side of the box for us, which I think is probably coming from Saka, similar for them, for probably some from Esteval and some cutbacks that they had. And there is the field tilt, which even though we won, still doesn't cheer me up. I think though, we'll come to some individuals in a second, to try and turn to some more positives. If you said to me in a week of Bayern and Spurs and Chelsea, we come out of that with a 4-1 against Spurs, a 3-1 against Bayern, and a 1-1 against Chelsea, I'm asking where's the clean sheet record gone? But I'm also saying, okay, yeah, you know, like I'm okay with that. I think to some degree, I will say, I think there's certain players out there who I think were a little bit fatigued. I said to Matisse as a joke that I would use if we got a bad result, that I'd use the extra day thing here, but they did have an extra day, Tuesday to Sunday. And I think there was a little bit of fatigue in there. But look, realistically, in that run, you take it. And I think the frustrating part is we know we're better than we showed. And that is frustrating, 100%. I'm not denying that at all. If you then go on a run and you start to lose games and you start to perform like that consistently, yeah, absolutely. I think we can begin to ask questions of this team. To me, this really, though, does feel like the end of a big week, a result where you go away, you have a really physical match, you know, under the lights at Stamford Bridge, you come away with a point, and while you're not happy, you're understanding that in the course of the season, there are going to be games like this. And I think, George, after this evening, I think Chelsea are going to really rival Man City for that second slot. I think I've seen some stuff this evening that I think makes me feel that. They've got a lot of quality, some strength in depth, some players coming back from injury, Cole Palmer and so on. They've got some centre-backs to come back from injury. I think they'll probably move again in January. And I think Maresca is a good coach. And they've got some really good players, obviously, Caicedo and Rice. Caicedo and James. So, yeah, I think eventually we're going to look back on this day and go, okay, yeah, fine. 1-1 away at second place or third place isn't so bad. It just feels quite painful now. But I think in the context of the week in the season, we'll be okay about it.
It's so weird. I feel like context of the game, you're disappointed. Red card before the 45th minute, away at a top 6 ground in which you feel that you can play better and you're not playing to your potential. Context of the game, you're disappointed. That feels like a loss. Then blow it up in the week. Context of 3 major matches that you're never going to have this level of physical exhaustion of a Bayern, North London derby, and Chelsea in the same week. You're sitting there saying, okay, I can accept a draw in the context of the week. Then you're sitting there and you're saying, I think if you talk to like 10 Chelsea fans, they all would have said this is their biggest game of the last 4 or 5 years, not just of the season. And they came with that energy. But I just got to speak my mind, where I just feel like I didn't respect the way they played and the way they went about it. But I can almost respect the result in a way. And their approach to it was exactly what they needed to do. If I was a Chelsea fan, I needed to say that this is the most important. Get into them. Don't let them play their game and stop them playing their game. If I was a Chelsea fan, that was the objective thing, I would say. And they did it, but they did it through playing in a way I don't respect. So I don't know. I don't know how to reconcile those two. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to give credit for the result. I just don't respect it. And then I look at us, and that's where I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. All those things, because I just feel as though we could have shown better. But then it's like, you know, George, keep in context of the week. George, keep in context of this. But it's just, I feel if we don't play with urgency like that, we'll lose more points. So the biggest thing to me is keeping your head, taking lessons that this did get under our skin, why, and how we can be the same calm title leaders that We have been pretty much most of this season. But I don't look at alarm bells. I still look at the top of the table. And when you read that, you still look at 5 points over Man City. You still look at a very significant lead at the top. And you do look at, for as much as I think actually the center back pairing did well, you have no Saliba, no Gabriel, Odegaard for most of the match. We've got significant injuries ourselves, and we've come off the back of a crazy week. So yes, I get it, but I'm annoyed because I know we can do better. And I don't want to hide away from that because I feel two things are true in that sense,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I was going to mention it there, but you said it, Saliba and Gabriel, like, take the best centre back pairing out of any team. Like, it is going to have an impact. I know we don't want to go down that route because it's so reminiscent of last season, and no one wants to hear the injury excuse. And I completely get it. But there are lines that have to be crossed sometimes, and that is a line when your main centre backs are out. I think part of the sort of the ability to physically bully us was because they got those guys were out. I actually thought Nketiah and Mosquera were pretty good.
They're good.
They're just not Saliba and Gabriel, and that's fine. And we still could have done better, absolutely. But as you say, two things can be true. This is how it leads the table. Arsenal top by 5 points. Man City nearly dropped points yesterday, but it did win that game against Leeds. They're not looking too great. Chelsea in third, 6 points behind us. And in terms of our next fixtures coming up in the league, we've got Brentford at home on Wednesday. Then we've got Villa away, which is going to be a tough game next Saturday. We're then at home against Wolves, away against Everton, and at home against Brighton. So hopefully we'll begin.
That's the response, isn't it, though? Like, you look at this week and you kind of can, again, I hate this because I feel like we could have done better. Let me just be clear. We could have done more. And I'm really angry at the result. But the result looks okay after the context of the week and the next 5 games. You do the business there and perform how we know we can with people coming back. You sit there and you swallow. You don't accept, but you swallow and you go, fine.
Yeah. And as I say, as you said earlier, the context of the season, I think we'll mean this result is okay. I think. Let's come to the super chats. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are new here, as we said earlier, please make sure you like and subscribe as always. And we'll come to some individual discussions as well. Unacceptable performances from far too many, says Ivan Smith. Calafiori poor, Rice poor by his standards, Saka poor, Gabby, Noni, Eze poor. Taylor lost control of the game, but we didn't deserve to win anyway. Yeah.
I don't know about Rice is the only one, but I hear it on some of the other ones.
I think on Rice, I certainly don't agree out of possession. I thought he was our best player out of possession by a mile. In possession, could he have carried the game to us a little bit more? Maybe. But I'm not, for me, it wouldn't be poor. It would be fine. Calafiori, I thought, it's hard to know how much of it is affected by the yellow and the early. I mean, Zubamendi, I think, got the earliest yellow since 2017. Arsenal had in the Premier League game. I think it was like Chamberlain in 2017. And you never know, especially in a game like that. And it must be in the back of your mind. And that's why I was so disappointed that we didn't make more of the Cucurella one and just keep giving the ball to Saka and keep running at him and keep exploiting that, because Saka had the better of him. And in those sorts of games, it was always a red card was coming, because that's the risk you take when you play in that way, as Chelsea do. So I was frustrated by that. So I don't know on Calafiori. For me, I thought, and you mentioned this earlier, but Zubamendi, I did think was a bit of a passenger. I don't know if I want to sort of add this to any kind of narrative. I think it might just be a bit of a poor game, but this is the sort of game where we are looking at whether it's a Buadi or a Gume or whatever it might be. And these are the sorts of games where if you go in with, an Eza, but Rice and a Gume or Buadi or whatever you want to do, I wonder whether you just turn games, and maybe the second half is a Zubamendi Odegaard type situation. But that's where I'm looking in this. Christian Norgard was not right for this game. And that's the concern. So, you don't want to always think about the window. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of the individuals that Ivan's mentioned there. Any thoughts there?
I mean, I think I thought Saka was broadly poor, but then in the right moment, he makes 2 positions that we should have scored, but broadly, I don't think he had the best in his decision making. And I do kind of agree with the Gabby, Noni, and Eze. I did say I thought that Eze wasn't at his best in this match. I don't know about the first 2, to be honest with you. I thought Calafiori was fine. I don't think he had the same freedom that he's enjoyed in other matches and the same influence. And that could have been a little bit more about game state. So maybe you could say it's poor there. I think the only one I really disagree with is Rice. For me, especially in the second half, he was looking forward and he kept trying to play through. And there was a definite attempt by him where I thought he could stand tall and say that he did really well. I was a little bit more frustrated with kind of our 8s in general. I was a little bit more frustrated with Marino, actually, despite the goal. It's classic Marino performance, but I don't think he did well enough in broad positions. And I think as a whole, though, I don't broadly disagree on like Saka, Gabby, Nani, and Eze. I expected more from Martinelli, actually. I thought that was the right move to have him against this line as opposed to Nani. But I don't think either of them had the response I would have wanted in pressuring that full back to center back channel.
Well, Ivan also says Chelsea's entire squad is pathetic, and I can certainly agree with that. Hermit the Frog says MLS taking a yellow 5 minutes after coming on for a player on a yellow because we don't want to risk a red sums up today's performance. Yeah, I have to say, George, and I'm not. Miles Lewis Skelly is not the problem here. Do you know what I mean? And I really want to say that. But the game against Bayern, the game here, there was a real casualness to his play that I don't love. And I don't know if it's fatigue. I don't know if it's growing pains. I really don't know. But there was a number of times where I thought, when that sub happened, I went, brilliant. Because I wanted, second half, I wanted passes on the pitch. I wanted Odegaard. I wanted Waneri. I wanted Miles. I wanted the guys who love the ball at their feet and almost to suck the ball into the pitch to keep that, that ball in the final third. Because eventually, against a 10-man team, you have enough solutions. You put the ball in enough times to Marino. You give it to Saka enough times, it's going to go in. So I was frustrated that Miles didn't show the level of sort of composure and possession I wanted. He didn't drive as much. He wasn't winning as many duels. It's not just him, but I didn't think his performance was good.
Okay, so you look at Miles in possession. The one thing that I would say is he's probably one of our bravest passers from deep. Miles at his best is that. I didn't see that. And I think that I've seen a player who has struggled to just match fitness-wise. He looks like he's not on it. He's late to decisions. And the one thing that I will say, even in duels, he looks a step behind. That's not something that you can see of a fit Miles Lewis Skelly who's matched. So for me, it's like, yes, I think he's poor. I think he's been poor and he hasn't played. So I'm sitting there thinking, yes to all this, but I also know he's doing things even at his worst. He's always been competent at from a dual perspective, and he's failing. So there's something there, right? Like when even at your best, not your superpower, but the thing you do basics wise, you can't do. There's something that goes on in it. And I don't know if it's fair. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking and I'm asking, should Miles be doing more? And I'm looking at a Zubimendi. Maybe it's a little harsh, and I don't know if I'm picking him out more than others, but I'm looking at him as the senior player in that pivot, and I'm hoping to ask more questions. But yes, Miles was poor. I don't think it gets away from that. And I think he should be playing in his winger early. And, that is something that he's very good at. But also when you're not in form, you don't do that, do you? Like when you're confident, you feel like you can play those balls and you feel as though you want to take care of it, don't you? Like when you're not playing well, you protect your stats. You play within yourself. And he did that. Now, I don't know who to blame. I think individually, you got to take that. Because if that was another player, I need to be consistent. I'd be on them. And I love Miles. And he's my boy. And I know he hasn't played, though. And that's a very valid thing to say. Now, I think every one of us need to take responsibility, because it was weird. After the yellow card that you mentioned with Cucurella, why did we put so much play down the left-hand side and
That's what I said earlier.
Right?
I could not believe it.
So the shift is, yes, Miles was poor. He was seeing more of the ball. But why as a team did we not shift focus and say, listen, play wide, play Saka. Saka had Cucurella. Every time he had him. And that's where I'm like, okay, why doesn't Zubimendi go a little bit more between the center backs? Why doesn't Rice press more in the right half space and release? Why didn't we see more of that switch, which we have in other matches? So, yes, to answer your question, I thought Miles was poor. I thought he could do more. I think at his best, he's one of our bravest passers from deep. But when you're out of form, you're not going to play like that. But we needed that from him. And that was the type of game. We needed the wingers to go out to in. The pass from deep on the floor, not over the top to Marino. And that was where I was just like, just play the ball through the freaking fullback and center back channel,
Or carry through that channel, because there was a number of situations where Noni created some gravity and it went back to Miles. There's clear space. This is the one I was talking about earlier where Arteta shouting at him. He's like, go. He's not doing it. So, Tipsy, how concerned are we that Ben White isn't trusted here? I can't remember if I mentioned this on the pod or not, but I watched a press conference the other week, and I don't want to create narratives, so I didn't say anything. But I'm concerned.
So what you're saying?
Yeah, but when you're like, I don't want to and it was like in the middle of a winning run or whatever. I can't remember what game it was. post-match, whenever Mikel talks generally about a player, they're cooked. He does it, and I can't remember who it was, but he did it with a player when I was like, they're out. It might have been like Fabio Vieira or maybe Sambi or someone like that. He starts going, look, every player has to fight for their place, because what he'd normally do is he'd go, no, Ben is a fantastic athlete. You know, he's brilliant. He'll be a big part of our group this year. He'll give you that line, but he went, well, everyone has to fight for their place, and Ben's no different. And I just felt a slight shift. So I don't know. It could be a fitness thing. It could be the type of game. I do want to see Ben White more. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not though.
It's one of those things where I think in principle, I'm concerned and I don't know what the physical state is, so I can't be firm in it. But then also I have to be honest, like I don't think that was the ball, if that makes sense. Like to me, it wasn't running power on the outside to develop
it wasn't.
chances. It was passes through the fullback to center back channel. So ironically, even though he didn't have a great game, in theory, the theory of a Miles works more than a Ben at fullback.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And it's
in
like,
this game, especially,
in this game. So it's one of those where I get it. Look, you could argue why wasn't Ben preferred at right center back, but I mean, we've kind of had that hierarchy. We've defined that with Mosquera just having simply more minutes. You know, I remember having a chat really briefly with someone from the group chat where I just said, honestly, I think Mosquera just has more recent minutes in his legs. So yes. But yeah, mate, like it's so frustrating because I just feel like we could have done more. And the irony is the thing that made us so successful on the right-hand side needed more proportion. I would have been okay with a right-hand side heavy attacking proportion in this match.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we saw it. Like I should probably check it out, but I don't know if we saw it. It was actually probably one of our more even attacks, or if not a little bit more left-hand side. I don't know. I'd be surprised, let's put it that way, if the percentage isn't crazy.
Yeah, let me see if I can find a passing network or something. But yeah, the problem his problem also is similar to Miles Skelly. The problem is not necessarily that he's bad or he's terrible. It's just Calafiori and Jurien Timber are world class and have been playing world class this season. And Jurien Timber can do everything. We're talking about, what game states does Jurien Timber? Well, when he's whipping balls in like the ones he is today, which by the way, similar to Calafiori in the week we didn't do the instant reaction. Calafiori whipping that ball and you go, okay, there he is, and he's added that to his game, and it's like fair enough. So yeah, sometimes it is just about the players in front of you, not necessarily that you've done anything wrong. Never losing. It's not a bad result, but we should have won. Let's look ahead to our next games. Chelsea will miss Caicedo. We continue to put a gap ahead of everyone. Yeah, look, this Arsenal side, we don't need a referendum on every, I know we're talking about certain limitations of players and some issues that we had today, and there were absolutely. I don't take back anything I said, and I can't take back anything you've said, but I'm sure you don't take back anything either. But the thing that I feel is that this is still a really, really, really good side. And this is just going to be one of those days that we're going to look back and go, okay, yeah, that happened. And this in the same way that, you think back on, I don't know, City's Centurion season, Man City, was it 17-18? There would have been days, there would have been weekends where they lose or they drop points or whatever. And everyone's going, oh, but in the grand scheme of the season, they are unplayable. And we have been so far. Yeah, they lost against Liverpool, they lost against United, dropped points against Everton, dropped points against Palace, dropped points against Burnley, dropped points against Huddersfield Town. That's the Centurions. Do you know what I mean? So it happens. They dropped points at home against Huddersfield Town. So yeah, I just think it's one of those games, and we don't need a referendum on. I'm already seeing people go the manager and stuff. It's just obscene. 2-2 in Sunday League. Sadly, missed the first 60. I'm not sure if you're saying Sunday League about your game or about our game. But it was. But it was a bit of a Sunday League game. I hope you scored, Oogie. Mohammed says we were really bad today across the board. That's what you get with zero rotation for such 3 big games in 7 days. Arteta needs to learn that. Can't blame him 100% because of the injuries, but still he could have done better. Yeah, in terms of the rotation, let's look at that. So it was the same 11 against. So Bayern's 11 was Raya, Timber, Lewis Skelly, Saliba, Mosquera, Rice, Mendy, Eza, Marino, Saka, Trossard. So yeah, everyone who could have stayed, barring Lewis Skelly, did.
I don't know if I agree with that. Like I look at the match and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if at number 9, I wouldn't have preferred Marino. Could we have made a change there? Probably fitness guided, right? I look at Martinelli. I thought the theory of that left-hand winger to replace Trossard, who we knew wouldn't play, it was between Nani and Martinelli. And I understood why having somebody go out to in to attack that full back to center back channel made sense. And then the rest of the team, I'm thinking, okay, with Saliba out, you basically would have said, are you saying rotation with Calafiori, with Timber, are like most informed fullbacks? I don't know. And the center backs pick themselves. Like, I don't know if I necessarily agree on the rotation, but I think we definitely didn't have the urgency after the equalizer, which is maybe fitness related after a week like that. So maybe the subs I kind of agree with, but I don't know if Bash is saying that, but I would be thinking the subs, I would have done something a little bit different. But to start the match, I wasn't calling for a change in the 11 personally.
No, and I'm looking at possibly the subs against Spurs, but we spoke about that on the post match about how the game was slightly on the edge before at one point, even though it was 3-1. And against Bayern, we took Timber off, we took Saka off after 70 minutes. What was it? 67 minutes. Eze came off the last 10 minutes. Timber came off. Obviously, Trossard wasn't available. So yeah, maybe. I feel like it's one of those things. I feel like if we win this game, we're not talking about it. So I think that's slightly a results thing.
Can I do something that you're not supposed to do on an Arsenal podcast? And even though I critiqued Chelsea so much,
say the media aren't after us. Sorry.
Mate, Reece James is world class.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
That was a phenomenal performance. And I think he's one of the more underrated players in the league. I hate saying this, so I won't keep it long, but I have to be fair. Reece James is something special. To do what he's doing in midfield for that Chelsea team, by the way, he was the only one that I felt like was able to keep them in. There was a big reason why Chelsea didn't fall apart after Caicedo left, and it was because of Reece James's ability to cover distances in midfield, but also play the ball forward for them and find the space out wide. Like you were talking a little bit earlier in the match about how Chelsea were able to get to the final third. For me, it was all Reece James. Enzo had moments in which he kind of crashed the box, but really Reece James was the driver. That he was consistently able to close distances for us out of possession, but similarly find really progressive passing out wide. And moral of the story, incredibly underrated player. Can't believe what we would have lost with injuries as far as right back goes. But in my opinion, the best thing Chelsea can do is find a more stable pivot and get that boy back to where he's special, because he's already special in midfield and he has no right being that good in midfield.
He's quite good. Yeah, unfortunately. Crimson 575 says, missed the first hour. Why so many bookings? Were you also in the same five-a-side game or Sunday League game? Anthony Taylor is the answer there. I just thought I did feel it was both sides, but I just thought you got the cards out way too early. Way too early. It's just it's a classic case of you card someone after 5 minutes in a really intense game, and then you've set a precedent, and you know you have to do it, and it's just boring. Mike Watts, centre-backs nearly threw that game. Genuinely terrible. Oh, I don't agree. We lack control because they kept gaining territory. They didn't win any duels, take the point and move. Yeah, I actually thought Tim Mosquera and Nkapie were pretty good. I thought Nkapie did well in terms of recovering. He had a nice moment up against Pedro Neto. He had one shaky moment, but he recovered well. They also had a nice little build-up sequence where basically Raya would pass across Nkapie and Mosquera would get it back sort of outside. They were trying to press us to our right, and he'd get it out the back of, I can't remember who it was, pretty sure Pedro, which was consistently working. So yeah, I don't agree, but fair enough, Mike Watts. What do you think, George?
I respectfully don't agree. I thought
I don't respectfully. Mine's not respectful.
No, I thought they were more than fine. If anything, maybe you could critique them not having the same progression that, a Saliba would have taken in terms of midfield, and a Gabriel, who are a bit more proactive with some of their earlier passes into midfield. Maybe you could say that, but I thought that they were very secure. I didn't feel out of place. I thought that they won their duels. Maybe aerially, there's not the same dominance and set pieces as a threat, both defensively and offensively. They didn't carry that same threat. So from there, I thought there was a weakness. But in general play, I actually thought that they were solid, like 6, 7 out of 10. Just weren't brilliant, but weren't bad at all.
Yes. LT1609 says the team looked mentally and physically tired. We went full ego against Bayern. We need to rotate, and the injuries are just getting stupid. Yeah, I mean, with the injuries thing, like, I think it defines certain things. Like, for example, the front post goal, I think, doesn't happen if Havertz Jokeris are there. Like, it's like, so maybe you could argue it is the definitive thing. but we have so many ways of killing teams and punishing teams that it doesn't wash for me. Last season, it took out all of our solutions. So then I'm going, or a big portion of our solutions. Then I'm going, okay, well then if we're not coming up with solutions, I kind of get it. We have enough solutions now. So I understand it. And I don't think this person's saying that the injury is the only reason, but yeah, I think we on balance, I'm not coming away going, the reason we lost that game is because of Saliba and Gabriel. Lost that game, feels like a loss. Drew that game with Saliba and Gabriel. It's a part of it, of course, but I think we could have won. We could have won that easily.
I think the players on that pitch could have won the game.
The players on the pitch could have won the game. Like this, yeah, we can't, we got such a deep. We can't simultaneously say we have the best squad in the Premier League and then come to the situations like this and go, oh, we need more players. L9s, we had 10 men, didn't even feel like it. Well, they had 10 men, didn't feel like it. And we didn't even park that bus till late. You was denied corners and you struggled. Expected way more. Big up to Pod. I think you might be a Chelsea fan. Possibly. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for giving us your money rather than giving Roman Abramovich or Todd Burley your money. Much appreciated. I hope you lose every game for the rest of the season. But thank you so much for your super chat. Very kind. Anthony B says, do you think Martinelli starts if Saliba was fit? Do you think Martinelli starts if Saliba was fit?
As in,
I don't see
without Saliba, like with Saliba, Martinelli wouldn't start, and it would be Nani. No, I think I've said it earlier. For me, the space was wide and in between the fullback and center back pairing, so you needed a touchline winger that would come inside from an out to in run. And I think Martinelli is, even if Trossard was fit, you could just argue for him. But I thought the profile of a Martinelli made sense for this opponent completely. Personally,
it did, especially with Gusto and James. The way they play. I actually will give a little bit of critique. I didn't think we released Martinelli enough. There was a number of times where I think he was quite frustrated to not get released.
Yeah.
And there could have been a Neuer point too. I don't get some Arsenal fans saying Mikel played for a draw when he put on attacking changes. I think this is on the players. I think he for me, he made the right substitutions. He made them at the right time. He set up the team basically in the way I think we should have been set up. I look at the players for this one, for me personally, and the way they handled the situation. I think a lot of them are old enough and ugly enough now to know what that game was going to be and didn't handle it well enough. Yeah,
I just thought the urgency was off, and I don't think a Mikel Arteta instruction is a lack of urgency. And like the team felt like they didn't have enough urgency after the equalizer. I don't know how many times to say it. Like I really just felt that. And Mikel's intense. Win your duels, win it early, meet people high, have a high line. All this stuff is things that I think Mikel believes absolutely fundamentally. And, he's cooked into this team from a very long time ago. So, yeah, I just don't think that the players responded, and it's okay to have an off day. It really is.
Yeah. I can't imagine Mikel going to the dressing room going, guys, be less fucking intense, guys. Guys, less fucking intense, please. My main man 90 says we need to chat on stop away games where teams apply more physicality on us in the game. We don't have what it takes to dominate games like this. Yeah, what parallels do you draw between this game and the Sunderland game?
Quite a few, and I think it's the only way to really frustrate Arsenal is to play this way. Like get in our faces, throw an elbow, get us emotional to the point that we're not playing our game, and we result in a lot of long balls, and that won't work until Kai Havertz is back, and it will not solve the issue. But just back up now that we have a better aerial target between both boxes that can deal with that ball. And we will perform better going over the top just because Kai Havertz is better at taking the ball down. But it doesn't mean I agree with the tactic. I think when you have a team that does that, you play through them. And if you can beat the press calmly and find a ball into midfield with some well-worked rotations and calm build-up, which we're more than capable of doing, you're a lot better and more likely. I think Raya sometimes goes long a little bit too much when the game state gets like that. I would like him to be maybe a bit braver in terms of playing through under a press, generally speaking. I don't know if that's harsh, but I just feel like when the game gets a bit nippy, Raya, our back line, like we've got people to get on the ball now. You know what I mean? Receive off the back foot, and Zubamendi and, multiple players. Eze drops deep. Odegaard now back. I just think that the team's response need to be, let's play through you as opposed to over top. And we rely on that a bit too much. And I know why we do it, because as a team, we're very good about collecting second balls, aren't we? Like that's a superpower. We know what you've got in Declan Rice. I just think we lean into it too much. And the pendulum needs to be, well, if I'm 90% long ball, I would like it to be 70-30 and play a bit more through.
Yeah. Frederick Carlson says Chelsea are not in second place anymore and they are happy. Haha. We take this 1-1 and learn and move on. Yeah, I think so. I think we can take learnings from this because I also think it's not, we're not sat here scratching our heads going, how's that happened? I think we all see how that happened. I think consistently across the board, everyone will knows the big themes that have happened here and can see games before, as you were just alluding to, of why this is happening. And yeah, maybe we aren't kings of everything. Almost certainly not. Chelsea are good, I guess. Do you guys think they'll have the same kind of momentum the next time we meet them in the league? When do we play them again? I can't imagine they'll be able to play that same way away from home. I can't imagine that happening. I also think by that point they will I think they would have established themselves in a title race. And the thing is, at the moment, they've got that air of kind of 22-23 Arsenal. It's February.
I said that.
February 28th. They've got that very 22-23 Arsenal. Wait, what? Energy to them, and that can't last the whole season. So I think by nearly March, or the last day of February, I suspect they will be in a different space. Even though I think they'll still be in it. I think they'll be outsiders or neck and neck with City.
I think they're going to have periods in which they show you good form for 5 or 6 and then lose a couple on the trot and be really emotional and not be able to play fully. I saw a team, like you said, I actually said in a preview with a Chelsea fan as well. It reminded me of Arsenal 22-23 when I look at them. Like very good ideas. You can tell they're going to be a good team, but they haven't got the team yet to compete for consistency. That's longer than I would say 5 or 6 games. And to be fair, I think even from a Chelsea perspective, looking at them over the last couple of years, their Christmas periods have been pretty inconsistent. So to shake that narrative, and you want to say that you're a new team, they will have to show consistency. I didn't see enough personally in this match. And honestly, it really highlights the fitness of Reece James. If that boy goes down at any point, I think Chelsea are done in terms of their tempo. That to me seems like the most important player.
No Caicedo for 3 games.
Yeah.
Bad results. Weren't resilient. We were poor for 94 minutes. I agree on the first 2 points. I think poor for 94. I don't know. I think we were poor in stretches and in certain phases of our play. But as always, like we competed. It was not our best day. I'm not saying that, but I just think sometimes, like, if you can't be poor away against the second place team for some periods of a game, it's just too much of an expectation for me. Like, it was always going to be a hard game. I think because of the run we've been on, we were expecting it was just going to happen like that again. I never felt that. I even in all of my score predictions were like cagey 1-0, 2-1 maybe.
Did you ever okay, so for me, United represents the one game where I'm like, we did not deserve to win that. And to me, I didn't feel
the first
that.
Game.
Yeah. Like, I looked at United and I thought, okay, United were better than us. And, we're lucky to have got the result that we got on that day. I still don't think it was like a 0 to 90 poor, but I was like, okay, I thought United were better that day. I didn't get that here. I thought, if anything, we just didn't do things that I know us to be. And it almost felt like we simmed the match, to put FIFA mentality. And we just didn't do things that I know we can do. So from that perspective, I thought we were poor and we could have done more. So yes, this is one of the times I'm probably the most frustrated with the team, but it wasn't, in my opinion, of us just being a total off day. I just didn't think we did the things that are successful and that we know to be, like the lack of urgency is not something I describe this team, generally speaking, and so, and that's on us, right? I don't know who to blame, whether manager, club, players. I just thought as a whole, we could have done better after the equalizer. And if we have other moments in which we experience that, I'd be asking for more urgency. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every time we've upped the tempo, and I have to be balanced, because what did we do after Bayern? After a very cagey performance in the first half, what did we do to start the second half? Up the intensity, completely blew them away. So, let's have some balance as far as that. I don't think it's a trait that Arsenal lack urgency in poor games, but it's just something that today I felt we had.
I'm looking through those matches so far this season. I think there are only 2 games where we deserved to drop points. and I think you're probably right that it was the United game and the Chelsea game. One we did, one we didn't,
Yeah.
and that's how it works.
Yeah.
I think I think Sunderland not got lucky, but Brian Brobby over the head kick in the last minute. Do you know what I mean? We should have won that game. We deserve to win we deserve to win the City game. We deserve to win, at least get close, maybe against Liverpool. Maybe that's the one you could say was more even, but I still think we were the better side that day. Yeah, tough. O'Malley says we're in a great position if we can continue to win against all the other teams until the new year. Chelsea and City don't play their first game until after New Year. Yeah, we played City, we played Liverpool, we played Chelsea. Those are probably the other three. I don't know if anyone else has played. Have they all played each other? That's an interesting one.
I don't know.
Well, Liverpool are not in the title race now, but City.
I would look at basically the next 5 games and say that they're incredibly winnable, and you're looking at getting maximum points, aren't you, from an Arsenal perspective? And to be honest with you, I hate to call this cocky. We will lose this title, not other people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I just look at us and our performances. We play to our potential with players coming back. I actually don't worry about the league and call that a little bit arrogant or whatever. But again, today, I thought we let ourselves down. I didn't think Chelsea took this game from us. I thought Arsenal didn't play and respond in the way that I would have hoped or expected our team to, given the way that they have all season. So it's more of an anomaly and a disappointment. But I really do look at us, and I do think that we will lose this league, not other people.
Yeah. I also think about tough away games left, and I would probably say, for me, right now, Villa and City.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's the Hill Dickinson, as in traditionally tough. I'm sure it's gonna come back to bite me, but we've got away Villa, Everton, Bournemouth, Forest, Leeds, Brentford, Spurs, Brighton, Wolves, City, West Ham, and Palace. Okay, maybe Selhurst Park as well. But that is not that set of away games we've done. We've done Old Trafford, we've done Anfield, we've done St James's Park, we've done Craven Cottage, which I think is always difficult for us. We've done Stadium of Light, which has turned out to be difficult for everyone this season. And we've done Stamford Bridge. So I think the difficult away games are beginning to ease up a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say Selhurst, like you said. I'd say those 3 are probably the top. And we've got Villa that'll be done soon,
Yeah, it's over. That kid Prince says 7 should get the ball more. Barely got it after Assi. I presume you're saying Saka should have had the ball more. Yeah, I think we kind of both alluded to this at some point during the pod. I think once Cucurella gets that, I think we should have been straight on him. CKE says Miles deserves a week with the U21s after today. I don't know. You're probably joking, but I just think he needs a bit of confidence, a bit of rhythm. I said this on TCP Live recently, and I think I'm beginning to. No, where did I say it? I can't remember. It was someone who I didn't want to say Thomas Partey's name. He reminds me of Partey a little bit, and not in that way. He reminds me of Partey in the sense that he always needed 5 games to fully. Yeah, he needed 5 games to get into to flow. I think Miles might be similar in that sense. I don't quite know why.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if I hold that opinion yet. I think I've seen it. So I don't think you're wrong to think it, if that makes sense. But I don't know if that's
kind of working. It's like working theory. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah. Because the weird thing is, I would have said that about Declan Rice, and then this year he started off like a beast and like a house on fire. But I do think Miles has been that this season, undoubtedly. You can't say anything less.
Yeah. Let's finish with this from my main man 90. What do you guys think about Odegaard doing halftime interviews? Then the Prem stops it. Every new rule stops with Arsenal.
Do not.
Go on, George. You go on. Have a rant. Go on.
That's woke nonsense. Utter woke nonsense. It's just craziness. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Maybe they stopped because of you.
They listen. You know what, Alex? They listen to me. I am that important in the grand scheme of media narratives that I will do, and I will change Jamie Carragher. Me and him will be best friends.
You will.
And every single one of my comments, he takes to heart, and he knows me exactly.
That's I've said this many times. That is one of my goals in life, is to get you two in the same room having a conversation about football.
The irony is we probably have a great conversation.
You would. No, you absolutely would. It would be amazing. We've got another one. That kid Prince says, when fit, does Odegaard go into the 11 or Trossard or Eze?
No, your best players go into the 11. I think Trossard's been unreal, and I understand form. In theory, I think you play players in form. You don't just go to the best player comment. But I do think over a long sample, Eze and Odegaard in the team produces more than anyone of Ode plus Trossard/Eze. But yes, form always comes into it, and you don't just give people the starting 11 because they're quote unquote the best players in the team.
We'll finish there. Thank you all so much for joining us. Nearly an hour on the instant reaction today. Lots to discuss. I said it at the top though. It's finally we have an instant reaction to actually talk about something rather than just how good we are. We'll be back for the main podcast tomorrow. We've also got a director's box phone in tomorrow evening. So if you want to join us and chat to us live, you can do that by becoming a director on Patreon or YouTube memberships. Thank you all for joining us. As always, I've banned someone for just spamming Arteta out into the comments because probably it's a 12-year-old boy, but you know, who knows? Thank you, George.
Thank you, good sir.
Thank you so much for watching, and thanks as always. Oh, hang on. As always, for keeping it Arsenal.
Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. This was one kind of queue the ladies thoroughly enjoyed.
Electrifying. Ferocious.